Hello everyone, welcome back to the Odds Now YouTube channel with me, Matt Hill. I'm here to give you your daily rundown ahead of the action at the 2026 PDC World Championship. It's Saturday the 20th of December and we're into round two. Round one in the books then. We're down to 64 and over the next 4 days it's going to quickly whittle down to 32. So yeah, things really step up from this point onwards. Obviously every player's got a game under their belt now and yeah, there's some really interesting round two ties. So looking forward to the next 4 days. I think there's still going to be a few upsets because we're still at first of three sets. And while the format is that short and it's set play, there is jeopardy for all these favourites. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how the next few days pan out. Yeah, just before we dive into today's action, we've only got 7 games today to start because the evening session has lost Johnny Clayton versus Dom Taylor. Dom Taylor, news breaking yesterday that he's failed another drugs test, which is bitterly disappointing given he missed last year's Worlds with an adverse sample, came back, has had a really good year, and then same happened again. So, yeah, very, very disappointing. Obviously, we'll have to wait for more details to sort of break on that story, but on the face of it, real waste of talent. But yeah, bye for Johnny Clayton, which means the evening only has 3 games, so 7 matches to get into. Before we do that, let's just have a quick recap of yesterday's action. 3 winners on the day, so a good profit. Kevin Dutz -1.5 set handicap versus Matt Dennant landed. Dutz dropped the first set, missed 5 set darts. So I was pulling my hair out then, but he did win the next 3 to win it 3-1. So the handicap bet covered, even if the 3-0 did go awry. Matt Dennant was value for a set in that game, to be honest. So I won't complain too much, but Dutz did show his class towards the end in some key moments. Really good winner with Leonard Gates beating Mickey Mansell. He's a massive price, wasn't he? 12-5. It was exactly as scrappy as I thought it would be. Some really dreadful stuff in there. Was there a 36 dart leg or something in there? But Gates, you know, he's stuck with Mansell. He has some decent scoring in his locker. It's them doubles you worry about with him, isn't it? But got over the line, so that was a good winner. And then on the evening, Willie O'Connor to beat Christopher Chuck 3-0. Possibly the performance of the first round from Willie O'Connor. And he plays Michael van Gerwen next. So bodes well for Willie. He was really decent there. I was disappointed with Salate, although I'm going to give Ryan Meikle some credit. He didn't allow him to settle. 105 average after the first set and a half, which is, when you're a debutant, what you're going to do against that, really. So fair play to Meikle. And yeah, not to be with Jesus there. But like I say, good profit on the day yesterday. Let's dive into the first day of second round action then. We kick off round 2 with Ryan Searle versus Brendan Dolan. As you can see, Ryan Searle, a pretty strong favourite here at 4-11. Brendan Dolan is out at 5-2, a bit of 13-5 available on the exchange. I think the match prices are about right, to be honest. Like, Searle didn't have to work all that hard against Chris Landman, but it was still impressive. You know, a high 90s average, 3-0. Job done. Didn't really give his opponent a sniff. Scored really well. And yeah, about as stress-free as he could have hoped for in round 1, really. Brendan Dolan had a bit of a tougher time of it. He came through at 3-1 in the end against Tavis Dude, and he had to withstand a barrage of 180s. And I know that because I backed Dolan most 180s at 7-4 and Dude, and he couldn't miss the treble 20 at one point. 9 180s he put in them 4 sets, the youngster. But still only averaged 89, which tells you all you need to know about his finishing. I think he was down at 20-something% finishing. So obviously Dolan, his experience got him through there, but he still gave up 30 darts at double against a pretty unfancied two-card qualifier. So I think this is right here that Searle should be a strong favourite. Personally, I don't really like relying on Ryan Searle at these kind of prices. The correct score market would be of interest to me. I think you could Dutch the 3-0 and 3-1 quite comfortably, or back Searle on the handicaps. You know, I think if we get Ryan Searle -1.5 sets at 5-6, there's money coming for Searle on all the handicap lines, and I think it's fair enough. I'm not going to play it myself. I just can't hang my hat on Ryan Searle in majors. He really should win this. But Brendan Dolan's no mug, and if Searle's not on it, he will be there to mop up and punish. So probably again best watched. If I was going to have a bet, it would be Searle -1.5 sets on the handicap, which is, you know, looking like it's going to go off more 8-11 than the 5-6 available. So the 5-6 with Betway is probably a bet if you can take that price, but it's nothing official from me on game 1. Okay, game 2, probably the one I'm looking forward to most today, to be honest. Andreas Harrysson versus Motomu Sakai. Everyone would have thought this was going to be Ross Smith versus Thibaut Tricol, but these two had other ideas, didn't they? Harrysson winning a thriller against Ross Smith. He had to survive a lot of match starts, to be fair, Andreas, but he hung in there well. He played really well, scored well, finished well, and yeah, took his chance when it came along. Delighted for him. Did flag in the preview that he's a big danger for Smith and a big banana skin. And yeah, Ross Smith will be gutted with that because this is an open section of the draw and opportunity knocks for these two here because they've already banked £25,000 by getting to round 2 and they've both got a very winnable round 2 tie to make the last 32. Sakai at 13-8. I'll be honest, when I priced this up, this was pretty much bang on where I had it. I thought they would go sort of 4-9, 1-2 Harrysson, which they have. And I think that's fair enough. We just know more about Andreas Harrysson. We can trust him a little bit more. He's obviously played on the Pro Tour a lot. He's as a call up. He's been really solid on the secondary tours for a few years now. Modus. So we have a bigger bank of form on Harrysson. That said, what we have seen of Sakai, I mean, he was very good against Tricol. His average is ended up being high 80s. So you can promote that to sort of 90, 91 because the last couple of legs he spurned a load of doubles when he was trying to close out the match, and that shaved his average down. But for the large majority of that game, he was up at 93, 94. So it was a really polished performance from Sakai. Obviously, his walk on, his aura, he's going to have the crowd right behind him. He's become the phrase that seems to be bandied about now is cult hero. There seems to be a lot of cult heroes, I will say. But yeah, like he's going to be very, very popular again with the crowd. I think people like Harrysson as well, though. So I don't think it's going to be like a bear pit for Andreas Harrysson. I just think that, yeah, they're going to be cheering for Sakai more. So that it's interesting whether that factors into the dynamics. The question Sakai has to answer is, can he repeat that level of performance? Now, what we've seen from him on the Asian Tour suggests he can. But I also am aware that from years gone by that when these qualifiers get through the first round, you tend to see a little bit of regression in round 2. That said, what I did like about both of these two is they look very proficient on the finishing and the combination finishing. Both appear to be good counters. And yeah, they both managed 2 ton plus checkouts in their first game, which is no mean feat, really, against players they weren't expected to beat. So I quite like that angle again here because it's a tough game to call, but you could back them both to hit a ton plus finish at 11-5 with Bet365 via their bet builder. And I think that's a rock solid bet, to be honest. I think there'll be ample chances. We could get 4 or 5 sets quite easily. And like I say, both coming in full of confidence and opportunity knocks. And it's just a bet that I feel we've got good scope in. Like, I'm rather than trying to predict the winner, like Sakai at 13-8, yeah, he's got a puncher's chance. But I think backing both at the ton plus checkout, you've got a runner all the way through the game here at 11-5. And the reason it's so big is because we don't have loads of data on Sakai. I think what we saw with the eye test suggests that he is capable in the finishing stakes. And Harrysson is known as a good combination finisher. So yeah, 11-5 on both players to hit a ton plus finish. That did stand out to me as a decent bet. Okay, Dirk van Duijvenbode versus James Hurrell. I want to be with Dirk and most 180s here, which was a tactic I deployed in round 1 to success, albeit Andy Barton's gave me a bit of a scare. Played the best he's probably played in about 2 years. So, I did say that on the World Championship preview as well, like, you know, building Dirk up, saying Barton's will probably have the best game he's had all year now, and he pretty much did. And it was interesting to hear Dirk say that Barton's, you know, needs to get his priorities right, because if he can play like that, he shouldn't be sweating over a 2 card and losing his 2 card. So, yeah, hard to argue with it. He plays James Hurrell here, who was very business-like in his round 1 performance. And he's that kind of player, isn't he? When he's a favourite, Hurrell, he tends to take care of business. Now, can he go and beat a top-class player like Dirk van Duijvenbode? I think he'd need Dirk to have an off day, is my honest assessment. Like, Hurrell's very solid. I don't know if he has that spectacular level that all the top players have. So he's going to need Dirk to not play his best, which is very plausible. But then he's also going to have to play somewhere near his best. And that's kind of what this market suggests in it as well, 2-7, 11-4. They've not making him absolute no hope, but Dirk a very clear favourite here. And I think with good reason. I expect Dirk to come through this. There might be some wobbly moments, as there usually is with Dirk. But I think, again, opportunity knocks for him. He's in this open section. This would potentially set up a round 3 game with Stephen Bunting. And I think that's a game he'll really, really fancy over 7 sets. So I'm expecting Dirk to turn up and have his game face on. And I think the most 180s line is always a good way to get with Dirk, to be honest. Like, he very rarely lets you down in these kind of situations. And although Hurrell can hit a max, I just think, like, you got to remember, barely anyone can live with Van Duijvenbode on the 180s per leg. Like, Littler is about it. Maybe Van Veen and Humphreys. But we're in elite company here, and James Hurrell really is going to need a hell of a lot to go right to live with Dirk van Duijvenbode on the 180 count. So I think backing Dirk to win and hit the most 180s is 5-6 with the Bet365 bet builder. You might even get a little drift there because Dirk is on the drift, obviously. So just on another tab here, I'm just going to run it through again just to make sure that it hasn't drifted. But it has drifted a touch. So it's 19-20 with Bet365, Dirk to win in the most 180s. I mean, I really, really like that bet. I think that's a very, very decent way of playing this game. And as somebody who's backed Dirk for his quarter, I'm hoping he doesn't let me down. So that's the selection for game 3. One more game this afternoon, then. That is Dave Chisnall versus Ricardo Pietreczko. This is going to be a no-bet game for me. I think you could make a case for backing Pietreczko at even money. He's probably been the more reliable of the two over recent times. However, Chizzy, there was flashes, and that was it, just flashes against Fallon. It was a pretty dreadful game, but he did get over the line. Fallon missed all her doubles. Dave didn't. The most interesting thing for me was Dave's post-match press conference where he was talking about his throw. Said he's got a problem with his throw and he's had it for a few months now where the dart is he's pulling the dart back behind his ear rather than straight. And having watched the game back, I can see what he means. And it's not every dart, it's only some. And they're spraying all over the place, in his words, when he does that. So it'll be a slight worry. But he did also say that when the dart is coming out properly, it's as well as he's played in a while. And when you're trying to assess that, that's just a nightmare, isn't it? So he's telling you that he's got a problem that's making him play worse, but also when the problem goes away, he's playing better than ever. So as a punter, I'm just looking at it thinking, I don't know where to go with that. You probably logically would want to take him on, wouldn't you, if he's having problems with his throw? But I don't think Dave is the kind of player. He's too long in the tooth now to just say things willy-nilly. I think he probably means it when he says, if I'm not doing that, I'm playing well. So I'd rather just leave this game. I mean, Pietreczko is going along nicely. He's had a good 3 months or so. And he's amassed a lot of big stage experience, had some good wins in the Worlds. He also crashed out at last year's World Championship, averaging less than 80, having played well in the previous rounds. So he's not a reliable type either. To me, this is just a game between two unreliable players. Crowd will be pro Chisnall with a little bit of a German contingent being very pro Pietreczko. So they'll both have their supporters. Yeah, it's a no bet for me. It's an each or two. I agree with that, and I don't want to get involved. Okay, on to the evening session. As I say, reduced evening session. Just the 3 games. The opener, this is another each or two. Bookies can't split them. Evens the pair. Smith and Zonneveld. I mean, it literally does not get tighter than that, doesn't it? Well, Michael Smith played Lisa Ashton in round 1 and wasn't totally convincing. But you got to remember, that was on opening night. And I think people looked at that the opening night and thought, oh, Smith, he beat her, but he didn't batter her, and weren't all that impressed with the performance. Whereas now, I think having seen the entire first round pan out and seen so many seeds struggle, Van Gerwen, Ruck yesterday dropped a set against Gemma Hayter, didn't play well. I think you just have to take this first round with a pinch of salt. That, if you're really, really well fancied, it's a very, very hard game because you've got nothing to gain, really. You win 3-0. Yeah, you were expected to win 3-0. You're not going to get any credit or praise for that. You drop a set and suddenly it's embarrassing and it's getting out of hand and you're fearing the worst, i.e. Mike De Decker. So it's just I think he's done it. He got past Lisa Ashton. It was fine. He plays Niels Zonneveld here. Now, I took on Niels Zonneveld in round 1 with Halpai Puha. And the first 2 sets of that game went exactly how I thought they would. Unfortunately for me, Zonneveld nicked both of them in the last leg deciders. It was a low-quality encounter, a proper battle. But once Zonneveld went 2-0 up, the third set, he relaxed. He played really well. Now, Niels Zonneveld's had a fantastic year on the floor. He's a very, very consistent player. That third set shows what he can do. I have serious reservations about him under pressure here. I think it's one thing early in the game. If he views this as a free hit and he settles, yeah, he's going to give Michael Smith problems. You have got a chance that, like the last game, he starts edging slowly and the game might be up for him by then. You've also got this situation where if he does have a lead and he's coming to close it out, is he going to tighten up again? I just have my worries about Niels Zonneveld under pressure on a big stage, to be honest. Michael Smith, we all know he's not playing anywhere near his best stuff, but he does have that big stage experience. He does know how to close a game out. I think if this gets tight, Michael Smith wins it. Zonneveld's best chance is to race out the blocks and win this 3-1 or 3-0. I think if Smith gets 2 sets, he'll get a third. That's my personal read on it. At the prices, I'm just going to back Michael Smith to win this at even money. I think it's the way to go. I know exactly where Michael Smith's at. He's way off his best. He's playing at a solid level. He's got all the big stage experience. Zonneveld's going to need his A game to beat him, whereas Michael Smith could probably get away with his B+ game. That's just my reading of it. I get people want to be with Zonneveld because he's the upward trajectory and Smith's maybe the downward trajectory. But to me, experience wins the day here. And I'm going to back Michael Smith at even money. Chris Dobey versus Andrew Gilding. That's a no-bet game for me. Nothing standing out there. I think Dobey's a worthy favourite. He had to work hard, didn't he, in round 1. Zong took a set off him, which was a 9-1 winner for me. But yeah, like he was efficient. He was good. Other than that set, he was rock solid. And to be fair, Zong asked questions of him, and he mainly had the answers. So that was a good warm up for Dobey. Gilding didn't have a lot of worries in his opener either. So both players come into this. This is the start of the tournament for both of them, isn't it? Really, and these two have met enough times to know what each other are going to bring. So I don't really have strong opinions on this game. I think the market has seen Chris Dobey versus Andrew Gilding enough times to have a good handle on it, and therefore you're probably not going to get that much standout value. I suppose you could argue that Dobey's World Championship record in recent years is exemplary, and he does excel in this set format. But Gilding has got some good TV scalps to his name in the last few years as well. So, yeah, as the market suggests, likely score, it just feels like a 3-1 Chris Dobey, maybe a 3-2, and he probably finds a way through. Do I want to be getting involved at the prices? Not really. So it's a no-bet game for me. I would lean towards Dobey, maybe 3-1. And last game of the night, Stephen Bunting versus Nitin Kumar. Clash of the People's Champions, you could say. Yeah, Bunting, he's had a stick for that, hasn't he? Coming out and saying, I am Stephen Bunting, I am the People's Champion. A lot of people saying, well, you don't declare yourself the People's Champion. That's not a very People's Champion-like thing to do. Which is, yeah, he probably shouldn't have said it. It does feel like the Bunting brand is being managed now, doesn't it? And he's kind of spitting out lines, but I still think he's a very good bloke. I think some of the criticism he's had has been a bit unfair. But anyway, he plays Nitin Kumar here, who is certainly popular with the Ali Pali crowd. That amazing win over Richard Veenstra, where he had to withstand the near 9 data from Veenstra, 5-ton plus checkouts, and he won it 3-2, despite being like a 14-1 rag. Unbelievable story, really. Kumar, I mean, in the end, he averaged like 90 over 5 sets. That's really, really good going. But he did tail off towards the end of the game. And something I said earlier in this video about the round 1, when the qualifier wins, you have to expect some regression in round 2. It doesn't always happen, but really, Nitin Kumar has not played like that consistently, ever. If he did, he'd be a Pro Tour card holder. He'd be in the top 64 in the world. The reality of it is, we see him once a year at the World Championship, and he had to battle through the Indian qualifier. Now, he's much the best Indian player, I'm not disputing that, and he was fantastic the other day. But you cannot rely on him to do that again. And I have to say, and I don't enjoy saying this, Stephen Bunting to win this 3-0 at, the Unibet price is always 1-2. Come on. That is huge, really. I'd love Kumar to get a set personally. I'd really enjoy watching it. But you have to say, on all of the data and long-term evidence, Stephen Bunting, if these two had met in round 1 and we hadn't seen what we'd seen over the last week, Bunting would be 10s on to win this 3-0. So how much does one game of darts change that? Is that now wrong? I mean, each to their own. People will have their opinions on that. But, there's even, you can even get 4-7. This is, to me, this is the world number 4 against an international qualifier. Now, the international qualifiers played well. The world number 4 was meh. But there's still levels between these two. And realistically, if Bunting wins the ball, this could be over in half an hour. I really hope it's not, but there is a serious class gap between these two. So I think you have to be back in the Bunting 3-0, even though the romantics of us probably want Kumar to win or win a set at least. We've got to be realistic about this situation. Stephen Bunting should be winning this game 3-0. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So I have to conclude that you want to get Bunting on side in some way. I mean, 4-7, as great a price as it is, it's not a working man's price, is it? So, the play is probably to partner it up with something. What I've landed on is Bunting to win 3-0 and a 180 in every set, because I'm effectively saying there's only going to be 3 sets. Do I think he can hit a 180 in each of them? Yes. And obviously you've got Kumar on side for that as well, who hit a 180 in each of his first 3 sets against Veenstra. So he can contribute there as well. That's an 11-10 chance. Bunting to win 3-0 and a 180 in every set. If you're a bigger single stakes player, I really do think the 4-7 on Bunting 3-0 is quite a bit too big. But yeah, I'd prefer to give odds against pokes for people to do with what they want. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm pro Stephen Bunting in that game. I just think that he's not been paid enough respect by the market there. So that concludes my Saturday roundup anyway. Let me know what you're backing in the comments. I will recap all the best bets in the description below. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give us a thumb up. And if you can hit subscribe to the Odds Now YouTube channel and join me for the remainder of this tournament, that'd be fantastic. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you again very soon.